Okay, so continuing with our taking a look at what social studies tests would be possible for a young child to take. And I just want to show that for the history test, we're looking at the history test this time. They have this system here where if you pass the highest level multiple times, this is how they will get repeat test takers. They'll actually give you a cool trophy or plaque for passing it many times. And if you pass the level one 3 times, they give you a wooden shield. It's pretty cool. 5 times a crystal shield, and I think there's the Japanese history level one and the world history level one. So in the same year, you could pass it twice, I guess. So if you're really good at history, you could have one of these crystal shields in 3 years, or not even 3 years. How many times does this test every year? I don't know, two, 2 to 4 times a year, I think. We'll have to look that up. Anyway, I just want to get through this quickly. So 10 times, and you get this dictionary clock. That's a really weird trophy, but it's kind of cool. And 20 times, and you get this uh, crystal globe clock thing. So that's cool also. And but only one person has ever passed 20 times. 49 people have passed 10 times. That's quite a few. So then we have 163 who passed 5 times, and 305 people who passed 3 times. So I don't know if you've passed, let's say, both world and Japanese history, and you kind of like got them both, and you're like, all right, I have enough. But then you see these cool trophies. I think you say, okay, maybe I'll pass 1 or 3 more times. I don't know if you'd want to pass like 10 or 20 times because just the investment you'd have to do in time, unless you're like a history teacher or they're huge into history. That seems like a lot to me. Anyway, let's take a look. Um, so the test itself, the lowest level is the level 5, and kids under the age of 10 even take it. The youngest person to ever pass was only 5 years old. So it's possible for a 6 year old to pass it. We know that. But oftentimes, the youngest person to pass a test is generally, well, often kind of one of those genius level kids, in most cases, and maybe but definitely and very invested in studying the material. So, if this is not our primary focus, 5 years old is probably tough. My son's 6 right now. We're just taking a quick look to see. So the level 4, one level above, the youngest person to pass is 7 years old. So if we take one level up and then go back, I guess we could say maybe, level 5. If you're 7 or 8, maybe you could pass if you studied hard enough and aren't super invested. I don't know. We'll have to take some more looks. So the level 5, it's online now. You can take it online now. Um, and that makes things a lot easier. You have 50 minutes for the level 1, taking it online. Um, we're probably not going to take it here, but I don't know. Maybe if we decide something soon, um, I might consider that. 40 questions. 40 questions in 15 minutes history. I guess it depends how long each question is, but that doesn't seem too bad compared to a lot of these other tests that we've been looking at. Um, so you can take it online, which is very nice. And the things that you learn on it are basically all the things that you would learn regarding history in elementary school. So, grade 1 kid taking this would be, I guess, roughly grade 6 or middle school start level. If you pass this test, which seems like a pretty big step for the lowest level. I guess mostly it's like middle school is the start because these pre 3, 4, and 5 all look like they are roughly aimed at middle school kids, and then the higher levels are high school and above, is the general idea that it seems, as it seems to appear here anyway. So that is that. Anything else that we need to take a look at here? Um, Maybe not. There is a sample test um, right here. I just had to see how many questions there were. There were 8 questions on our sample test. So this is, I guess, a mini test since the real one has 40 questions. It looks like they will have some readings included on the test. So maybe the more difficult kanji and everything, but not all of the readings, perhaps. So this is another one that it might be wise to have a slightly higher level of kanji before getting into before challenging this test. I'm having trouble talking here, as I often do. So let's take a look. A to C, um, 16th century to 17th century. Uh, what what law was passed, I guess. So, or where was the law passed? Oh, okay, the question's down here. Sorry, I'm just jumping all around. Anyway, this law is, they made it very difficult to, for, um, foreign people to come to Japan or Japanese people to leave Japan at the time. This is like a one of those historic laws that was quite out there, and right now, in the Japanese constitution we do have, uh, it's a human right that you're able to move and live where you want, in most cases. So that's constitutional right that we have now, but not back in the 16th and 17th century. I think this was like mid 16, I don't know, 37 or oh, it actually says there. That's maybe I just saw this and that's why I thought that. I'm okay. So the law passed, and then in 1637, um, I guess it wasn't good for the Christians there at the time. Um, so and where did this occur? Was it Kyushu, the Chugoku region, which is always confusing, I think, for a lot of people. But Chugoku is like a central Japan, basically, not the and it's kind of southeast, southwestern, I guess, but it's called central or Shikoku. And I'm pretty sure, based on the ships and everything coming in, this was Kyushu at the time. I don't have a high confidence, but oh, look, these it's makes the most sense to me. These questions here, looks like all of them are 3 possible options. So 3 possible options, and hold on, let me check. No, not the trophies. What percent did we need to pass? Was that? Um, so we want, okay, 60% we can pass. That's pretty low compared to a lot of other tests. So 60% and 3 questions here. So basically, if you can look at the question and say, okay, it's not this one, so it's either this or this, and you give yourself 50% chance to answer all the ones that you don't know, and then you know a few of them, you can maybe get by. Okay, so um, the who was the shogun who let this law through? this insane law. And um, it was Iemitsu, I'm pretty sure. So the Tokugawa shogunate is again, I'm no history buff, so if even if I was going to take this, not just my son, I think I would have to study. But um, I don't know, the most famous uh, three samurai, I guess, in Japanese history would be Nobunaga, um, Toyotomi, and Tokugawa, but not Iemitsu. But um, so the once Tokugawa came in, his family just like was ruling Japan for a long time. And if you look at the history as to how he got in, usually like the when we have some sort of idioms or whatever from history, or not necessarily idioms, but like stories about history, it always seems to talk about Tokugawa as if he was the most peaceful and nicest one of the three. And I don't necessarily think that is true. I mean, by today's standards, obviously none of them would be, but he seemed like a little bit of a schemer to me. I shouldn't be bad mouthing Tokugawa Ieyasu anyway. I don't really know too much about the others in detail, but they put in a lot of strange laws here and there. So, all right. The the law to prevent weapons with they underscored the guns here um, was very strict law. So who brought this law in, basically? So, and we just talked about these guys. Was it Oda Nobunaga? Was it Toyotomi Hideyoshi? Or was it Tokugawa Ieyasu? And I actually know this one. This is a question that can actually come up on the gun test if you get a gun in Japan, which is very difficult to do. Um, it was Toyotomi Hideyoshi. So um, I think, and again, no history buff, so I'm just gonna say something that might not necessarily be true, but Oda Nobunaga, he used guns a lot once guns came to Japan. And there were some, I think, samurai who were against guns, but then after Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi took over, and he didn't want people shooting at him, so he wanted only his own people to have those guns, right? Because I think it was Saika Magoichi who and his clan who were like taking pot shots at Oda Nobunaga, and Hideyoshi didn't like that. And so once Hideyoshi came to power, they kind of like said, okay, no more guns for you people. And that law, or the extension of that law, still exists today, where it's very difficult for the average person to get a gun in Japan. And this isn't just like some countries, like I guess America would come to mind, where the regular people can get pretty high powered weapons if they want. In Japan, if you are a civilian, you cannot get very many weapons. There's a very limited amount of weapons. There's mostly it's either shotgun, rifle, and and there's a few versions of variations of those that you can get, or a uh, air rifle, or an air pistol. And the air pistol is actually more how do you say, limited, and um, more controlled than the shotgun or the rifle, for example, even the ones that use gunpowder. So the air pistol is more controlled than that. And then probably the hardest gun to get in Japan if you were gonna get a gun is the rapid fire pistol, because there's like 50 of them in the entire country, legal weapons, I mean, of course, and you need like to go through multiple stages of recommendations, and this is for sports specifically because handguns can't be used for hunting, guns can't be used for self-defense, and it's the system's very very strict. Anyway, that's huge tangent here, but let's see. So this one was, I think, a pretty easy one. Um, so what is incorrect about the following? Or which of the following is incorrect? Uh, so the what was the first one? So okay, hold on. So the person up here, it's asking about them. I need to pay attention to the questions here. So, tried to take over Min. I guess Min is someone or something in Korea. Sorry, I am again not familiar with this. This is the name of Korea at the time. And tried to take over twice. I'm pretty sure that he did. He was, um, he did some pretty things that kind of like ruined his own legacy as well. But he another tangent here, but Toyotomi Hideyoshi, he's probably one of the most inspirational samurai in the sense that he was a very rare figure to come up from being basically a nobody and then eventually rise to the level of shogun. Right? You don't see that often. Yes, and uh, probably never before, never again. But after he became shogun, he did implement a few things that I, I think his story was really good until he got there, and then as a leader, I don't know, I feel like he made a lot of silly errors and could have done better. So, um, this I think is true. So, five people groups uh and gave them, what do you call the punishment where other people are punished for what someone does. This sounds like something that you should actually have in Japan, but I don't think that he implemented this because it wouldn't make sense to me. But again, I'm not sure. Uh, and had all the rice fields and stuff um, measured and then like making and I guess controlled overall. So I don't know. I don't know. I've never heard of this bottom one either, but this middle one sounds the weirdest to me. So this is like one of those 50-50 ones because I'm pretty sure that the top one is not. The top one is true as far as I know, unless like a single word or something uh is changed, and I think they do that on like higher level tests, but hopefully not this one. Um, yeah. So yeah, this one was what was wrong, and this one is also asking what is wrong, number five. So, were guns brought by the Portuguese to Tanegashima? Yeah, I believe so. Um, did Nobunaga use guns at the Battle of Nagashino to defeat Takeda? I think that's Takeda Shingen. But I mean, I guess it depends what you call defeat here, because that doesn't sound. I mean, nobody can defeat Takeda Shingen. So far, if it's these two, this one would be wrong. Uh, So not didn't make guns in the country, but had them imported from out of the country. And this, no, they Nobunaga definitely had a lot of guns made. He kind of like got obsessed with like taking over with the strongest power at the time. Um, so yeah, it's I'm pretty sure this is the incorrect one. He didn't make guns in the country. So this is absolutely correct. This is maybe kind of correct, and this is definitely incorrect. So, um, but we have to think of this as like a 6-year-old right now. So I think if you studied enough history, but I don't know the how far it go. Most of these questions are during you know, the let's say more famous parts of history, but not quite everything. So, but I guess that's what you study in elementary school. Um, so what is this? Let's read the question first. So this C is a the name of some kind of law or ordinance, and this ordinance is that they are helping with basically science and martial arts. My translation, I don't think science is the best word for this either, or whatever. But I'm on the spot, so the daimyo is uh, would change every year in April. Every year in April. And the castle fixing um you'd have to announce castle fixing, and you could not make new castles, which this is a another one of those laws that's kind of like, well, like what? Why? Well, I mean, I can kind of see why, but uh, for on a personal level, it's I don't really like that one. So, what is the name of this law? Is it the Pugesho Hatto, or is it the Katanagari Rei, or is it the Sakoku Rei? So it is not the middle one, and Sakoku Rei sounds more like the law that they had at the top. Did we get a name for that? I don't remember. Um, I don't know if that was the actual name or not. But anyway, let's not worry about the name. That's what it sounds like. This one, I mean, we are talking about this is one of the things in there. Um, so of these three, it makes the most sense, but I don't actually know the name of the law. So, and what is this next one here? Um, so definitely give me a like if you think that my um, stumbling across just trying to speak normal words into the camera is entertaining. And also give me a like if it's not and you hate it. Just give me a like. Okay. Um, the underlined B. So this Sankin Kotai. So the daimyo having to change every every April. So what of the following three is incorrect? So most of these ones where they ask you, they're asking you what's incorrect, which is strange. So this one's saying that during the change, the daimyo normally would have to go once a year to um, Edo, I guess to Tokyo basically, and uh, for this under this law, or um, the streets are prepared, I guess. So, uh, yeah, I'm just having trouble even on Englishizing these. So the Bakufu, so I guess the sort of government-ish people would cover the costs of this. Um, yeah, I have no idea actually for this one. I would say number two sounds incorrect to me. Number one, maybe. Number three, maybe. Is it like I mean, if it's in the law, would it be a tax thing or a location thing? Because at the time, this could definitely have been either. Yeah, 50-50. Let's go with tax. Tax makes more sense in the law. Well, not maybe not necessarily tax, but uh, finances. And then A to C, from A to C. So, um, okay, so these laws that we had, so we got to go back and forth a lot in this test. That's kind of tough. So C, this law here with no more building castles and such, um, and the daimyo changing and whatnot. This law here, which is or the ordinance, I guess, not necessarily laws about maybe rice fields, possibly um what do you call like rentai sekinen or kyoto sekinen? It's that thing that there's like an international treaty that completely forbids it. So like, if if your friend unknowing to you does something bad to someone and then you're not going to go to prison for what that friend did, I guess. Anyway, B, this one. I mean, the timing is mm, probably, I mean, this would be, I guess, when Hideyoshi was in power. And then what was the first one? The first one was no going out of the country, which this was after the Tokugawa um, took place. So A would probably be the latest, maybe. So the first one is not A, so that we have either B or C. And would it be the no more castles or some rice fields? So no, hold on. The no more castles one. What period was this? I don't know. The I guess C makes the most sense as the earliest one because uh, B and A I think is a kind of a progression maybe. So let's find out. Seven out of eight. Okay. First one, it was Kyushu. Second one, it was Iemitsu. Third, okay, Toyotomi Hideyoshi. This is one I had the most confidence. I knew that one I've had. Fourth one, okay, yeah, punishing other people in groups of five was. Oh, shoot, they actually did it, but it was the period was different. Huh. They did it in the Edo period. Oh, that's weird. I probably should have known about that. So again, My ignorance is showing. Um, yeah, so guns were being made in Japan at the time. Um, okay, so the three options here that we had were indeed the names of the three laws that we actually had here, and so this one was the changing the daimyo and such. The one about like no guns and stuff was B, and then stopping people from coming in or leaving the country was A. So what did I say? I said that C. I thought it was C, but the answer was B. So I guess the um, B was that, and both A and C were in the Edo period. So I already forgot the question that we just did. So C um, was the question. So the order of the laws in C was this one about castles and daimyo changing. That was in the Edo period, and I guess this one also. It says here that Tokugawa Iemitsu made that one as well. Did. I was confused about that. So if I knew that, B would have obviously been the correct answer. But this was one of those 50-50 options that I had. And I had a lot of 50-50 options here, I think. Like half the questions that I was wondering about, just like it's either this or that. But okay. So, and we got this AI image here. So, we did a little challenge there. And just based on this, I would say that the history test here, it feels less difficult than most of the tests, but I'm not sure if it would be more, if it would be higher or lower than the news test that we had brought up. So the news test I was wondering about. I think if we were going to compare it to something, it would be the news test um, and the World Heritage Test. And the other one, what was the other one? It doesn't even come to mind now. And the other one we had, I think, was slightly more difficult. Was it? If I can even remember what that was, the map test. Yeah, the map test was definitely the most difficult. So it's probably map is the most difficult. Um, then maybe heritage would be next because I thought the questions on that were felt pretty tough to me. Then would it be this or the news test? This, I think we only need 60% is, and there's only three options for selecting here, is a huge plus in terms of can a younger kid pass this test if they studied for it or not. And the news test, I still have something open for the news test. The news test had everything in all the readings for everything listed on the test, although there were a lot of questions and I think it was pretty hard. But just based on what we did, I would say that the history test is probably a little bit harder than the lowest level news test. And we're only going with the lowest levels right now. So, if we get to the highest levels, I don't know, everything's going to be crazy and insane. Um, I feel like the questions on the history test were overall not too bad. They were something that we could do. So the history test is one that I think I could consider for my son doing in the near future as well. More so, at least, than the map test. But um, probably the news test would be a better social studies benchmark on that note. So, of these tests so far, um, that would be my ranking. But the other day, I did find one more test that I think might qualify as a social studies test, which has several levels that we can look at and really take into consideration for what test would be best to take next if we were going to take another one. And then, we have tons of homework right now, so um, this it's not a huge priority to find more tests to take right now, but just the having that as an option is something that I want to do. So, um, yeah, that is my current ranking, and I will take a look at that other test and then list them up in visually in some way that we can all see which ones are the hardest, which ones are the easiest, and maybe even add some reasons there. And I'm sorry for anybody who suffered through me sitting and trying to look at those questions and trying to reconstruct them in my mind in English and be completely failing as usual at doing so. But um, I think we had an interesting time doing those questions. Anyway, remember to like, subscribe, and level up.